Hey everybody, shalom and welcome back to ReligionWinked TV. In this edition of the Brandon Bernard story and execution. And guys, before we go ahead and get started, let's go ahead and give him a 30-second countdown, and then we'll give a moment of silence, okay? Alright, so I don't know if this man is holding back tears or trying to keep from laughing, y'all, but it's a sad day in the judicial system here in America. It's a sad day after the 2020 election that the government couldn't find it in their heart to spare this young man his life. So with that being said, now let's go ahead and take the little 30-second, moment of silence, and I will be back with the rest of my commentary. Alright, now with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into Brandon Bernard and the article that came up on my phone right after we got done doing the live stream about the afternoon news delight. Brandon's name came up in one of the news feed, and we did a pretty good commentary on that, okay? So with that being said, there's a sister Helen Progene. She's out advocating for the death penalty, and an article came up with her and some other stuff about what really happened back in 1999 when this young man right here, I'm presuming, was about 18 years old at the time, was associated with some other people who went out and probably was premeditating this unbeknownst to him and decided to kill a couple. I have footage of the family, being in court after this execution, and we're going to just get into it all and just lay the facts on the table, and you guys can, form your opinion and things of that nature towards the end of this video. Please do me a favor, if you can. I would greatly appreciate it if you guys would go over to my channel, ReligionWinked TV, and please subscribe, like, share, comment. I appreciate it. So yeah, Brandon Bernard, 18 years old. He was not involved in the murder that took place back in 1999 at all, but was convicted of being an accomplice. And here on Thursday, he was by lethal injection put to death, okay? So I basically, there's a chant going on in the world: stop the killing, stop the execution. What do you say about this? There's a lot of controversy going on in comparison to the execution of Brandon Bernard and the assassination performed by Dylan Roof, okay? They're trying to compare the two and show you that there's equal bias going on across the board when it comes to a black man being executed, having really done anything but just be present at a crime that was committed, and to basically a man going into a church, shooting up 9 people, having Burger King served to him at his feet, beck and call, and basically, get away damn near with murdering 9 people. The death penalty works for black people, what the consensus is saying. Why not schedule Dylan Roof the same day you scheduled Brandon Bernard to lose his life? So we had a really good conversation in that last video called Afternoon's Delight. Basically, I just want to show you that there are some people. Let me go ahead and pull up another picture of him. Let's keep using this one for now, because I don't know if the man is holding back tears or if he's, ready to break out in a laugh. But when we get into the report, Sister Helen is going to say that, she tells one of the news stations that he was very at peace, in life or in death. So, she's a Catholic nun, and I told you Catholic people practice canonization. They feel like they can judge your soul if it should go on into eternity or not. So again, a black man is up against a lot of things here in America, and for whatever reason, and those reasons are known to some of us and most of us, but for whatever reason, a black man has a hard way to go here in America. Right, wrong, and or indifferent for the most part, just because they're black, just because we're a peculiar people, just because we're different, just because we're a holy nation, just because we have a personal relationship with the Most High God. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pull this article up. The article I'm going to be reading from is from Smart News, Harper's Bazaar, U.S., and the article reads, after Brandon Bernard's execution, Sister Helene Progene calls out the death penalty's cruelty. Why not before? Why not making an ongoing godly thing for people to do who call themselves Catholic, nuns, priests? Why not rally together, get together behind the most endangered species ever? And that would be a black man. And the only threat a black man poses to anyone is being productive, being black, being unique, being a warrior in the black man's original state. Now, through slavery, butt breaking, and all these other free lawless choices that America allows people to make, hear me out. The only real threat is we were warriors. They called us emotionless. They called us educated at one point. They called us there's some characteristics that's going on around a black man that other races, especially the white race, is intimidated by. Your melanin, period, going for $500 a gram. That's more than damn cocaine selling the street, I do believe. I don't know how much a gram of heroin or cocaine is going for, but melanin seems to be 20,000, 50 times, 100, 500 times more than what a damn bag of cocaine or heroin is going for in the street at a gram. I know it's damn more than a damn ounce of weed is in the street. For the love of God, you see how valuable what you have to these people? They would rather kill you and see you dead to get that melanin out of Brandon Bernard and all the other, I think it was 17 people since the election or prior July or something of that nature that has been executed, and another one to come. And then my friend Kareem, he was in the chat, and KC basically said there was one white woman, a woman named Lisa Montgomery. Kareem, I do apologize, but I didn't see that it had blocked out your comment, and I went back when I was watching the live, and it shows now, so you'll be able to see 2 of your comments that YouTube didn't let come through, but I showed them. It was on hide or something, so I pushed show, and you can see it in the chat, okay? So with that being said, let me just go ahead and give somewhat to Kim K her props. Now Kim has been working in the judicial system, and as we were saying in the video prior to this one, that she could barely do anything with damn Kanye West. And people always think they got the solution to help black people when they can't even help themselves. And it's off the backs of black people that they are where they are today in this world, whether it's on the plantation of Kardashian or whether it's in the modern day plantations of prison where most of our black men are. We basically always, other races and other people have to give us a hand. For what it is, thank you, Kim, for speaking out. Thank you for being a part of this movement. Maybe you should have a reality show and show people how to get behind the black movement. Be sincere about it. Don't just be out here marrying a black man because of the big peen, because of the good looks, the pretty children, so on and so forth. I always say, dead or alive, a black person is wanted by other races for whatever reason, okay? And now we're realizing it's body parts, it's melanin, it's the threat of black men taking over the world again, along with the women and children. We can't leave us out as well, right? So anyway, giving her props, not being disrespectful or anything, but Kim, thank you, but no thank you, okay? This is something black people, this is something black women need to do. Start standing up and sticking by our man, and that way we probably won't find them in the bed of these exotic women such as yourself, Lil Wayne, allegedly, and 50 Cent like to run to, okay? So with that being said, you all, after Brandon Bernard's execution, Sister Helene Pregine calls out the death penalty's cruelty. I bet she does. Alright, now with that being said, I want to keep the focus on this young man. So let's just go ahead and bring him up on screen as we begin to read his story, okay? So, and the story goes a little like this by Chelsea Sanchez, again from Smart News, Harper's Bazaar, USA. After Brandon Bernard's execution, Sister Helene Pregine calls out the death penalty's cruelty, as if it had any subtlety, as if it was ever a friendly thing, as if it had positive behavior toward anybody, right? It's cruelty, the cruelty of the person who established the death penalty and the penalty put on the black person, which is death, period. That's the cruel and inhumane punishment and behavior I be talking to you about. The wordplay, the mind trickery, it just does not make sense. The death penalty's cruelty. It was designed to be cruel. But to who? The conversation is going on. The death penalty only works for black people. The same way they shot this man up with lethal injection. What are they waiting on for Dylan Root? An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth? Or does that only work in the black community when it comes to being cruel to black people thereof, right? So it goes on to say, nearly half an hour past 9 p.m. last night, the state executed Brandon Bernard by lethal injection. His death comes in spite of a high-profile bipartisan campaign to spare his life, including the support of the prosecutor and 5 of the sentencing jurors. Where was their mindset at back in 1999 when they were sentencing a man who had not committed a crime other than being there? And the story's going to say something about getting gas for the car to set the car on fire. But did he do that or did he not do that? We'll find out as we go along. So basically it goes on to say they have a change of heart. Remember the other young man I did the video on? I can't remember his name, but he was 16 years old. Oh, what is his name? The video is up on my timeline. And the judge, a black judge, a woman judge, came out damn near 30, 40 years later and said she was wrong for sentencing him and he's still in prison. I will get that story, that video, and link it down below, okay? So it goes on to say he was the ninth person to be executed since July, a 17-year hiatus, and the first to be federally executed during the lame duck presidency in 130 years. See, these sick people with the presidency, it's timing, it's numbers, it's quota, it's if I got away with it before, I could get away with it now. And we read in the last article, in the last video after News Delight, that President Trump decided to go ahead with this. And I told you, no matter how nice you are to these people and how pleasant you are to vote them in and respect their wishes, it always comes back to loss of life for us. So it goes on to say, by the time of his death, Bernard, 40, had spent more than half his life behind bars. So 18, sitting county jail, been in probably upstate. So he's 40, he spent 20 years at least in prison, right? So it goes on to say, Sister Helene Progene, a Catholic nun, they practice canonization. What they do is they, for somehow, have this sick thing in their mind that they can tell when a spirit or a soul is good enough to pass on into eternity. Playing God again, once again. These people are even judging your soul upon death, right? And it's funny and ironic to me that a Catholic nun would show up. Why not a Baptist priest? Why not a believer in the Most High God? It's just everything surrounding Catholicism is death. So it goes on to say, and no disrespect to Miss Helene Progene, she may be on the up and up and a very nice woman, but when it comes to Catholics in the call for Christianity and the call for canonization, who do these people think they are? According to Romans 1 in chapter 1 in verse 18, when it says they suppress the truth and know the truth, but yet hold it from God's people. They corrupted the truth, turned what was incorruptible into a corruptible beast of an image of a beast and creepy things. And that's all the Vatican is. They worship the most demonic things in the world. So with that being said, no disrespect to her, Sister Helene Progene, a Catholic nun and one of the most well-known anti-death penalty advocates, spoke to Bernard and his legal team moments before the execution was carried out. I have never met anyone quite like Brandon, who was so poised about living or dying, as we should be, because it's a part of life. As we should be, and that's something our community is not educated on. And like I said, here it's almost like he's holding back a tear or he's keeping from laughing. He doesn't seem poised about what he's going through. Now in this picture here, of course, the man looks relaxed, and even here he seems a little reserved. God bless him. May God keep his spirit with him, and may he comfort the family and friends left behind to honor him with peace, right? So it goes on to say, she told this to Bazaar.com. Quote, I think he had just reached the point spiritually in his life that he had accepted responsibility and was truly sorry for what he had done, as we all will given the time. As we all will, given the relationship with the Most High God that we should all be striving for, as should. I mean, it's called repentance, Sister Helene. It's called people make mistakes and God forgive people of those mistakes, but mankind judge people as well and hold people more accountable for things they do than even the Most High God. So, it goes on to say, In 1999, Bernard, then 18 years old, and I'm assuming here, he's still, he looks more younger now than back there. I guess life was harder there because he probably was out in the street rolling with the wrong crowd, making bad choices. But it seems like, having not to spend all your life in prison or more than half your life, there is a sense of peace about him compared to when he first got arrested, okay? So back in 1999, Bernard, then 18 years old, was convicted in the Texas killing of Stacy and Todd Bagley. And I'm going to show you hopefully footage of the Bagleys, okay? He was one of 5 young men involved in a double murder robbery, and as low-ranked member of the gang, he was tasked to get rid of the murder evidence by burning the car with the bodies. Now, if he did this, I'm not sure. His charge, I believe, was an accomplice to whatever else was being done. Now, what actual role he had played in this, I am really not sure, guys. But when other reports we read earlier said he was charged as an accomplice, okay? And that could mean just being on the scene. Doesn't mean you knew anything was going to happen. You took involvement of anything. Just means you were an accomplice, okay? So, it goes on to say, excuse me, I do apologize. So it goes on to say here that he was one of the 5 in a double murder, low-rank gang. He was tasked to get rid of the evidence by the car with the bodies. Christopher Villalba, who was executed in September, shot and killed the Bagleys. So Christopher, there was another guy executed in September related to this case. Now, Texas, I do believe, is the biggest on death penalty. I was hearing something about that a couple of years ago, or just in reading or whatever. I do believe Texas is big on the death penalty, okay? So it goes on to say, since then, Bernard's lawyers have argued that the prosecution withheld evidence at the time of the trial that would have diminished his role in the murder. And this happens a lot in the judicial system. This happens a lot. I always say the jury of your peers. Now, this man was a young black man, 18 years old. Was these 5 jurors that have a change of heart now his peers? Meaning, really, were they 18, 20-year-old black men on this jury so he could get a fair trial? But now, upon his death, from the beast thereof of America, they have a change of heart. Because remember, God said, have no man blood on your hands. Hell, they didn't even want the blood of Jesus Christ on their hands. Somebody had to send them to the cross, and those same people are paying for it today. Okay? When a man does nothing wrong, you have no right to execute him or kill him or treat him like cattle and take him to the slaughterhouse to be slain. So it goes on to say, since then, Bernard's lawyers have argued that the prosecution withheld evidence at the time of the trial that would have diminished his role in the murder. In the moments leading up to the execution, the Supreme Court rejected a request to delay his execution by 2 weeks. They couldn't even spare him 2 weeks. But yet we've been waiting on white Jesus and other people to come save us for 2,000 years. Y'all not making it make sense to me right now. Pleas to President Donald Trump to commute his sentence were also ignored because Donald Trump was in his feeds, you black people, us black people. I didn't vote, but we still black people, didn't cater to his non-black needs and non-black agenda. So he was in his feelings and said, I'm going to take out one more black man before they kick my butt out this White House. What do you guys expect? Insanity is keep dealing with these same people, these same demons, these same open enemies of the land, the same oppressors, the same people and races against black people, and putting all your hope, your trust and salvation in them, thinking that something good is going to come out of it after 500 years here in America, and God knows how many years of captivity and slavery over in the East, okay? So it goes on to say, his last words as reported to the Associated Press were toward the families of the Bagleys. I'm sorry, he said. This the only words that I can say that completely capture how I feel now and how I felt that day. And people do suffer remorse. People do realize, oh man, I made a mistake. Murder is a big one, accomplice and all of that. But it's still, people have some kind of heart and compassion even after making a mistake. And if God can forgive, why can't the judicial system set laws according to the crime people do? Okay? Even Trump been accused of crimes, and he's out here begging for immunity for his children. Come on now. Right is right, wrong is wrong. White is white, black is black. There's never been equality other than in the eyes of God at one particular point in time between both the races. There's never been no decent common ground. All right? So it goes on to say, Bazaar.com spoke to Sister Helene Progene, a staunch opponent of capital punishment, who has been calling for an end to the death penalty since the 1980s, about how the fight continues to stop the 4 remaining federal executions set to take place before President-elect Joe Biden is inaugurated next month. And I told you, old Jim Joe Crow Biden over there, the 1994 crime bill law, the behavior he had during these politics is something not to be trusted. It's something not to want to follow. It's something not to want to worship or put up on a pedestal as your ruler and your leader, okay? So it goes on to say here that Progene also touched on the racial and economic inequities prevalent within death row and how she plans on remembering Bernard's life and spirit. Baby, commend that spirit into the hands of the Lord and stop trying to even see after a black man in his death. You didn't care about us when we was living. For the love of God, leave us alone. Because these people know it's about the spirit and the mindset of a spirit that either keeps you in relationship with God or keep you disconnected from God as a lost soul. And for some reason, the Vatican Church think they have this connection with the Most High God, and it's really blasphemy at its finest, at its greatest, at its wickedest, okay? So there's a quote here that says, not a quote, but a statement, the 5 federal executions that are scheduled in this lame duck period. Lame duck. This is hunting. This is season. This is mating. This is the mating call. This is the hunting season. This is the survival game they play with us, right? Trump administration breaks the precedents from the past 130 years. Could you contextualize what's happening right now and why they have made this move to get back at black people? I told you, if you go out there and vote, regardless of who you voted for, somebody black was going to come up dead. Several people after this election, and I'm not talking about related to the rally, I'm just talking about a young 15-year-old boy, a young 18-year-old, a 20-year-old, 35 times shot by the police, 38 times shot by the police, and the youngest one, the 15-year-old, damn near hung and beat to death like Emmett Till, the family says, allegedly. Okay, and in that situation, they asked the sheriff's department to call an Amber Alert, and they refused to do so. This is how detrimental the war against the men in blue and the men in black have gotten. They don't even want to put out an Amber Alert to bring awareness. Hopefully, the young man would still be alive right now, right? So it goes on to say, it's interesting in one way because as states are shutting down the death penalty dramatically, we have this aberration which highlights something that's been broken in the way it was set up by the Supreme Court from the beginning to do a black man in. Period. A modern day way to try to kill people and have no remorse or recall or anyone to answer to because they've written it in the law, right? So it goes on to say that because in the Gregg decision, when the Supreme Court set up the death penalty, it set up the criteria that it was not for ordinary murders, but only the worst of the worst, which some murders, the worst of the worst was putting a man on a tree and killing him and calling it a glorified crucifixion. Who's going to deal with that murder? Because even we read in the morning read, he said they're going to kill me, right? Killing 187, murder, death, kill, right? It's all the same thing. They just play with you on the words. Please listen. So it says, and anybody really knows that what that means. Yeah, what that means. Like I said, people are spiritually dead right now because the church told them they're going to go to hell if they chew gum in church. They're going to go to hell if they have sex outside of marriage. They're going to... There's so many spiritually dead people in this world right now. And nobody really knows what that means, right? What would you call an ordinary murder? What would you call it? Well, murder is murder, right? What would you call it? Ordinary. Ordinary, you strangle somebody. Unordinary would be you stab them in the neck, shoot them in the back, hit them in the head with a hammer. None of that shit is ordinary. This is the sick minds of these people. Murder is murder, right? What is ordinary about it? Unless you're trying to take out your opponent. Alright, so who black people tend to be the opponent of white society nowadays. So it goes on to say, and then this leaves the discretion to prosecutors to be able to go after death or not. See, here's the thing. They're trying to be God. God said in the book of Deuteronomy, if anyone sin and is worthy of death, you hang them on a tree. The New Testament comes along and says, everything you do, if you curse, you're going to jail. If you look at me, you're going to jail. If you do this, you're going to hell. They just started writing laws to validate their wicked behavior. As long as there is a law on the books for murder, they can get away with killing you. So it goes on to say, if they don't go for death, people don't die. So it just highlights that the federal jurisdiction for 17 years, no one was killed until Trump got in his feelings, had to leave the White House. He went around for years telling people you fired on The Apprentice. Now his butt is fired, tired, through, and delayed. He wants to take out a black man before he go. Alright, so it goes on to say, but then because you had this discretionary power in the hands of individuals like Donald Trump and Attorney General Barr, they decide to go for death. And that's all it's been from the beginning. They will probably kill as many people as they can because they can. And it is such an aberration. And I just said it, and this confirmed it. Just because they can, just because they wrote a law. What about the law of God that said, touch not my prophet and do my anointing no harm?